name's Alina Hernandez, and this is People in Perspective. Joining me today is Maria Castillo, a manager who manages at Cook County Hospital. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So to start off first, what attracted you to your profession?
So my profession is social work, so I always knew I wanted to help people. And I specifically was interested in the mental health field. What I think stood out for me with social work as a profession is the social justice aspect that is the core values of social work that distinguishes itself from other professions in psychiatry or psychology. Also, the fact that it has a lot more diversity, that I can do more besides therapy or psychotherapy in social work, as opposed to psychology and psychiatry. I also was driven to help youth. I think adolescence is a really pivotal point in a human being's development, and that's when you can really impact the most change. I believe older people are stuck in old patterns per se, and adolescents can really you can really make a lot of change in an adolescent.
And on the topic of youth, what is it like working with you in a high school setting?
In a high school setting, so it's very rewarding, extremely rewarding and challenging as well. Working with youth, you learn the resilience of the human being. As a therapist, you have the honored space or sacred space to hear an adolescent's or a young person's story, and a lot of times it's filled with trauma, abuse, maybe mental illness such as anxiety, depression, and so you hear that, and that is extremely rewarding, at the same time challenging. I often say that although I no longer directly work with adolescents anymore, or in direct practice, I often say that I learned as much and I got out as much from working with youth as hopefully I did in my 15 years as a therapist and helping youth. They taught me a lot about the human spirit and how humans have resilience.
It's very inspiring. And on the topic of like you saying that you don't work with it anymore, what's your new position? What's it like working?
Well, I work within the same system, which is our Cook County Hospital system. Currently, I'm the clinic manager for behavioral health at Cook County. And I also have an interim director role. I'm an interim director for social work. I have the interim position because currently Cook County is going through a lot of financial difficulties as similar to the city and the state, where we're in financial debt right now, and so I've had to take on two positions. I would say one of the main differences with not providing direct service is obviously that I am indirectly helping others. So I often see the people I manage as a psychologist, social work psychiatrist, or sometimes support staff within my clinic manager role as my clients. So I try to help them clinically become better, and so that it's in an indirect way helping. I would say that would be the main difference.
And with COVID, it must have made it like really harder. And so tell me about the psychological effects of COVID in a hospital setting for both the employees and the patients.
Well, for the patients, obviously mental health has been on the rise. So normally, right, pre-COVID, we would see people with perhaps higher rates of mental illness, so more chemical imbalanced people such as bipolar, schizophrenia. And that obviously still exists and adds another layer of complexity and trauma, but we've also seen an increase with sort of the general population of a higher functioning population than we normally wouldn't see. So for example, people with sort of general anxiety or depression, we see that at we see much more higher volumes with that. People are also have social determinants, right? So it's housing issues, losing their jobs, that obviously complicates their psychological well-being or mental illness. In terms of employees, we obviously it would be burnout. I mean, it's extremely high rates of burnout. Employees have to now navigate helping others through the fear, obviously, of being exposed, or if they're not, they're working through telehealth and not trying to adjust to the new norm of providing services. At the same time, similar to teachers and other professions, obviously, balance is key, right? And in helping and in trying to figure out the demands you have at home with your, for example, children staying home and having to be a teacher, as well as demands from work, that I don't think is unique to healthcare. It's just the exposure, I think, to COVID among employees brings a lot more of that fear base among the profession.
And so, besides the burnout, what do you think was the most difficult part for you during this pandemic?
For me personally,
Yes.
it was something indirect. So I think the school health center where I came from was just around here, around the corner. And so I serviced a community in Cicero, Illinois, and it was more in East High School. And during this budget year, it was on the list to be privatized. So in other words, Cook County Hospital was going to sell it off to an FQHC, which is a federally qualified clinic. And we knew that this was not the time to turn their back on the youth, meaning government, because we can offer a much more comprehensive care than perhaps a more non-for-profit or a federally qualified clinic can. So what we did, I got involved indirectly, even though obviously I don't work directly with Morton, and I mobilized the community. We did a lot of political engagement with the Cook County commissioners, and that took a lot of strain, but at the same time, I think it was worth it, because at the end it did remain on the budget. So it was just not the right time to close an adolescent health center during the COVID. Plus, Cicero has been hardest hit with COVID, as well as it has high pockets of COVID rates, as well as depression and homelessness and all the other social determinants. So,
yeah, I can understand that. Well, thank you for being on People Perspective. It sounds like you have a lot of passion for what you do.
Okay.
And for the kids of
no
Morton.
problem. No problem. Anytime.
I'm Alina Hernandez, and thank you for watching.